All right, hello everybody. At least I think it's hello. Looks like everything's live. Let's go ahead and take a quick gander at my own page. Okay, it seems to be working. Let's go ahead and get that link to you. If you are watching this archived, then I apologize. We're going to be messing around here for a second while I make sure everyone can see the video. Here we go. There. Make a video link for all of you. Let's go to our announcements, create an announcement. It's the link to the first broadcast. Yay! Remember, you can use this to watch it anytime. See you Wednesday. And email to everybody and shoop to whoop. Okay. That should do it. Okay. Let's bring up the syllabus, shall we? Sure you can see it. That's all we're going to be doing today. Going over the syllabus. It should already be posted on our course's Blackboard page under syllabus. So that should follow along there. And here we are. Okay. Yep, I am Dallas Pike, your instructor. Has my degree information here, but really the thing that you should know is that I am the assistant director of the debate program here at Ball State. We've been the national champions for the past, what is it now, 11 of the past 12 years, so it's been pretty good. I've taught this subject for quite a while, and I've been involved in debate in some way or another since the year 2000, so that makes it nice and easy to figure out just how long I've been knocking around. So in any case, I like to think I know what I'm doing, but a disclaimer is that just like any person that gives you advice, regardless of if they have 18 years of experience or 25 or 37 or whatever, advice is advice. They're giving you feedback and tips based on their own experience, and your mileage may vary. But nonetheless, like I said, I like to think I know what I'm doing, and we'll get you. We'll improve you. We will help you improve your debate and argumentation skills. There is also a teaching assistant in this class named Lacey. She obviously is not going to be on the recording today or in the broadcast today, but she should be around on a Wednesday during our regular class meeting at 2 p.m. I think we're in Letterman Building 127. It's a little disorienting, just coming straight back from the hospital and then trying to teach your classes online when you're not used to doing so. So we just look at your schedule. But the information is the same regardless. So this is just my contact information. A quick note about the phone. I am in my office a lot on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I'm also in my office sporadically on Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday and Thursday is my debate team coaching responsibilities, so my schedule isn't as fixed or routine as it is on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But as always, if it's during these times in the office, you can probably give me a call and then stand a good chance of reaching me. If it's outside of these days and hours, you might still reach me, but what you will get is a voicemail system that is really cool. It will send me a text message saying that I have a voicemail, and I can then log into my employee account and listen to it. So it's still a good way to be obnoxious, even if you don't get to me right away. Speaking of getting to me right away, I coach the debate team, and one of the things that we do is travel. So especially if it's like after class on Fridays, usually I leave our classroom and go right onto a trip with our debate team students. And during those trips, whether you call this phone number or email me, or even Skype, I'm usually not available when I'm traveling on a tournament. So that sucks. But I'll get it first thing on Monday or maybe Sunday evening if we return. If it's one of those trips where we return that soon. So no worries. I can be contacted. We're just it's just today is not a good representative day. In any case, so that's my contact information. Here's that catalog description. Again, you can kind of read that over your own time. Course objectives. One of the things we envision for this course is that you will um, identify and be able to use the parts of a Toolman model of argument and kind of use that model to critique other people's arguments and refute them. Um, in creating and presenting sound arguments. We will also be doing research for this course, by the good old-fashioned way of looking things up. We'll be using stuff in the library. We have at least 1 or 2 library days over the course of the semester. But not to jump ahead here, but I want to point attention to our technology policy. Probably not what you're used to. Um, you are allowed and even required to bring high technology to the classroom. We need things like laptops, portable devices, iPads, Windows equivalents of iPads, because we will be looking things up during class time as well. There will be questions about a case or a topic that, I don't know. I'm a debate teacher. I don't necessarily teach foreign policy, so if we're having a debate topic about foreign policy and someone asks a really great question about it, that's I will probably say, okay, let's all look it up, and see what we can find. Um, so if you have high technology available, please do bring it. You will be using it in class. Just throwing that out there. Understand valid and invalid forms of reasoning. This is going to be, I know in your Comm 210 course, which is a prerequisite for this one, you will be probably pretty familiar with terms like ad hominem and things like that. But in this class, we kind of pepper this throughout the course. There's all kinds of different forms of reasoning than just the logical fallacies that are both valid and invalid. There's more than inductive and deductive reasoning. And one of the first things that we're going to cover, which is probably not covered in Comm 210, is the idea of an enthymeme, which is an argument where the suppositions or the assumptions of that argument are not stated. You have to kind of figure them out based on what was actually said. And we'll be talking about that on Wednesday, so we're not going to get too far into it. But just as an example, it's again a form of reasoning that's a little bit beyond what you've probably had before. We'll also be developing team working skills, and this is usually where I kind of lose a couple people, well, maybe they don't unenroll, but they kind of roll their eyes at me, and they say that, well, here's the thing. You will be working with a partner for the course. You'll be working with one other person to do your debate work. Trust me, it is more of a help than it is a hindrance. For one thing, having one partner during a project, it keeps people from becoming anonymous in that they stop doing work and let other people do the work. Most times, people continue to do the work. Now, sometimes you're not necessarily satisfied with the quality of work that your partner might do, because especially for the first debate, I kind of assign people randomly. I do try to make good choices in terms of personality and what kind of work I've seen in from you from that point, so I get people that their personalities gel well together. But ultimately, guys, I do it randomly if you don't have like a strong preference. So, that means that someone's going to get really lucky with their partner. Someone's not going to get so lucky. I apologize in advance, and if you're in the I'm not so lucky part of the equation, you can let me know about that, behind closed doors or through an email or something private. And when we shake up the teams, which we do throughout the semester, I'll just make sure you're paired with somebody different. And you shouldn't really read into anything if you get a new partner, because over the course of the semester, because I do like to kind of shake things up. But there's sometimes there are two people that work really, really well together, in which case I'll prefer to keep you together. We'll just see how it works out. Every group is different, but I will be giving you your partner if you don't have a strong preference, and then, well, everything will just kind of fall out from there. It's how we do it on the debate team, and so you'll be no more or less functional or dysfunctional than our national award-winning debate team. So there you go. More effectively using critical thinking and problem-solving skills, one of the cooler projects that we have in this class is that we will present you with a policy topic, something like last year we did United States federal government should crack down on illegal immigration. This was before the whole child separation at the border thing. And for the record, none of my students even had that on their radar. So that, nonetheless, that was the topic. And so they created a plan to deal with that political problem or political issue. And that was a fun, cool debate. And we'll do something similar again. Maybe not, hopefully not that topic. We'll do something different. Unless you guys just overwhelmingly decide that we need to do that topic. But more about topic selection and stuff later. And of course, I want you to have a better understanding of current issues and controversies. Everything that we will cover in this class in terms of topics is going to be something. Excuse me a second. I gotta make sure I'm broadcasting. Everything is either going to be timeless or timely. So everything we're going to talk about is going to be relevant to what's going on now in American society, or something that's always going on in American society. Here's a nice course rationale here. Basically, the course rationale is that every single person in here actually needs this kind of stuff because all your professions require it. If you are an English education major, there will come a time in your professional life in which you will have a selection of books to choose, and you feel like there's a clear textbook that you need to have for your students that would be the most effective or most interesting for them to read. And then you have a colleague that disagrees with you, and now it's going to be quote unquote a thing, and you need to advocate for yourself and for your students in a professional level to make sure that you get the tool that you think is most appropriate, and hopefully get your opponent, for lack of a better word, to agree with you that you are correct. Similarly, if you're a communications major, you're going to have a whole slew of occupations, from consultants to message directors to all kinds of things that require some level of argumentation and persuasion. And this class is going to help you develop those skills so that you can go into those occupations with a good grounding in how to create, or rather how to interact in an environment in which people are pushing back. And that's kind of what debate's about. It's not so much about the fighting part, but we'll argue that. We'll get to that in a moment. But debate is an adversarial process. So how you can interact with somebody in an adversarial manner, still be professional and still be colleagues at the end of the day, is a very important skill. And that's really what we teach you here. So some course content stuff. Topics to be addressed in this course include the following. We'll talk about what constitutes an argument. We'll also talk about how to create, refute, and present arguments. And we'll go over critical thinking and problem-solving skills and decision-making. Again, debates are about making decisions. They're not so much about winning or losing. And I know that a lot of people will look at debates, presidential debates, and they'll decide, which candidate won that debate. And it's necessary, of course, that somebody, I guess, will win and somebody will lose. But it's absolutely necessary that the process itself is very thorough. An analogy I use to try to explain this is think about a courtroom in which there's a defendant that is swearing up and down that he's innocent. Well, the lawyer that represents that client doesn't necessarily, isn't persuaded by the defendant. Maybe thinks that he or she is guilty too. But in order for that conviction to really be true, that defense lawyer still has to present a thorough, passionate defense of that person. So when the jury agrees with the prosecution, no one can argue that it was because the defense counsel was incompetent, right? Otherwise, the verdict might be thrown out. So it's similar in these like professional situations as well. You have your piece, you're passionate, you develop your arguments well, and regardless of how the decision goes, people are convinced that the decision was the right one because everybody was bringing good arguments and competent advocacy to the table. And so everybody can accept the decision that ultimately happens. And that's really what debate's about. It's about decision making. It's not about having your way or this or that. Okay, course texts. The instructor will provide supplemental text material on Blackboard. It is my vision that you do not need to spend any more money than you already have on this course. Now you may need to buy like office materials. There is going to be research. We're going to be printing it out. It needs to be organized. So that might mean you need to buy some folders or buy a box to put the folders in and transport it to class. But other than those kinds of incidental expenses, we're not going to break the bank on textbooks or anything. I will give you everything you need on Blackboard or through Blackboard. Student assignments. The student will be evaluated in 3 areas. Written assignments here, which I guess doesn't have a number. Oops. This may include written assignments, editorials, debate cases, or other written material, and that's a relatively small amount of your grade. Now, the big part here is oral presentation. This is the primary method of evaluation, which will be a team debate in which teams of 2 students advance and refute argumentation. So it's you and your partner versus another person and their partner. Topics for debate will be decided by students from a short list of 3 to 4 topics the instructor has already selected. Again, I will pick the timely or timeless things, and then among those, you can choose whatever you want. And we'll go through a voting process and kind of look things up and hopefully, again, have a good decision in a debate class about what is good to be talking about. Usually these topics will be on current issues and had already been used by formal debate associations or by real-world public or political and social figures. So they shouldn't be the crazy things like, I mean, as an example debate, we might go through like, which is better, Coke or Pepsi. But your actual like graded assignments won't be topics like that. They'll be over immigration policy. So, okay, argumentation days. I like my little play on words there. On these, there are going to be certain days in which you are going to be expected to work with your partner. And if you aren't there on those days, you don't get the points for those days. That's really the basics of it. Since you have a partner, I know it is busy being a college student, and this time at 2 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is the time that you have signed up for this class. This is when you can do work for it. I don't really expect you to do a whole heck of a lot of work outside of class. And the flip side of that though is that when you have class scheduled, you need to be here to work with your partner and to get guidance from me and to turn in your various assignments, right? If you're not here to do that, you're not really taking the course at that point, because a lot of this course is developing argumentation, running it past your partner, and you and your partner together creating one singular position that you can both speak from. And if you're not doing that, and I can't see you doing that to evaluate you, then you don't get credit. So now here's the scarier attendance policy. Things happen in life, and totally understand that. But I feel like I need to go over it and talk about the various exigent circumstances that might occur. So attendance. Learning does not happen unless you are here. As such, attendance is mandatory. If you are not here, you cannot make up work or in-class assignments that you missed unless you have an excused university recognizes. So contagious illness, injury, bereavement, which means someone in your family has passed away, military service obligation, or official, I don't know so why it's underlined there, but official university authorized travel. So unless you fit in one of those categories, then you should not miss class ever. Organize your life such that you can be here at 2 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. You have to work with a partner for this course, so here's one of the situations I was talking about that can be kind of scary. If your partner is absent on a debate day, you will have to debate solo. Your extra effort will factor into your grade, and your partner's negligence will be reflected in their grade as well. Of course, assuming they don't have one of those recognized excuses. A volunteer may also come forward to assist you with your permission. So if you say, "Oh, Mr. Pike, I just can't go today, or alone on this topic. I need a helper," then I'll ask for volunteers, and every time I've asked for volunteers, we've found one. And usually that's probably because of this second policy here. Well, if a whole team is absent on a debate day, I have the right to appoint another group or to go in place of the absent team. If you debate more than once, either as an individual or as a group, you will automatically receive a grade of A for the project, with preference given, of course, to volunteers. Yep, that's right. You will just, if you debate twice, I will give you that A. Now, of course, there are some reasonable strings to this, in that you are prepared to debate, but we should all be prepared to debate by the time the first debate session rolls around. Okay, so I'm hopefully not going to let anyone in here get to the point where they're just debating to debate and they've got nothing or done nothing. You will have to have done some work then. But again, if you're going to debate twice and it's an intense experience, debate is a difficult class to take, which is why I kind of make it easy to pass. We'll go over a rubric as soon as we get closer to a project deadline, but nowhere does it appear that you need to win a debate in order to get an A. Nowhere does it say you need to have a certain delivery style in order to get an A. Nowhere does it say you need to avoid verbal pauses in order to get an A. This is all content based. Are your arguments complete? Do they make sense with your thesis? Do you defend your arguments? Do you remember to defend your arguments? These are usually very simple yes or no questions that most people are able to do. But being able to do them well, being able to know what you need to do is the hard part. So it's hard to prepare. It's hard to take the class, but I ultimately make it hopefully an easy experience to learn from. And I don't really punish you for any variety of having shoes that don't match or whatever that you might have gotten penalized for in say a presentation course. This is not a presentation course. It's a skills-based class about your communication style. It's not really about your speaking persona per se. Anyway, so if you fail to debate on your assigned day, and again, you don't fall into one of these, remember these are university excuses, we follow this policy, but if you fail to debate on your assigned day, and it's an unexcused absence type, you have to receive a 0 or F for the project. It's just, the pet peeve of mine isn't really anything that happens in the classroom, or you might think that as somebody that listens to people argue with each other and that I hear a lot of offensive things, which is, can be true. But really my pet peeve is either working with a partner and then abandoning them, or just simply not working with your partner and leaving them to do the project alone. Those are the things that get under my skin, and ultimately, that's how you can fail the class. Generally speaking, if you work with your partner, you come in on those workshop days, do the work, I'm not really going to let you skip out. I'm going to help you, and I'm interested in your success. I'm going to make sure that you at least skip out of here with like a B plus or something. You're really only going to dip lower than that if you done mess up by not coming to class when you need to be on a debate, or when you're not coming to class when you need to work with your partner. That's how you're really going to lose the points in this class. And we'll go over the point schematic here in a minute so you can see how that works. This is also, the number 4 here is kind of like my, I don't know, I'll call it my insurance policy. The instructor may also include a miscellaneous category of evaluation up to 10% of the planned class grade, which may include quizzes, homework, other participation, public debate, competition debate, or other assignments depending on his assessment of student progress and the need for more intense evaluation, also known as my pop quiz and or pop writing assignment clause. So I will give you, like I said, I don't really require you to work together outside of class, but I might give you something to read that will familiarize you with the topic that we're debating, and you need to read it. If it occurs to me that many of you had not read it, then I will make a pop quiz up on the spot, and I will ask you questions over the reading for right and wrong. And those people who are doing their work will get a good grade, and those who aren't doing their work will not. And that's just something I got to use the points to try to manipulate your behavior so that you will do the work that's required. Generally speaking, I've not really invoked this clause or this item on the syllabus for quite some time, but it is there in case I need it. Day one is the day to be scary. um, so here's the point breakdown by assignment. So we don't necessarily need to read each and every one, but for example, your first debate here is a crossfire debate. It's worth total 60 points. There are 12 items on the rubric, so whatever score you get out of it's 12 items, and there's actually 4 ratings. So whatever your score is, I multiply it by 5, and it eventually adds up to 60 points. We'll go over that rubric as the time gets closer. We usually generally average about 1 debate per month. And it takes about a week and a half for a section of your size, of about 20 students. It takes about a week and a half to get through all the debates. So that kind of lets you know that this class is really heavy on the watching and supporting each other during debate type activity and making arguments, as opposed to the more classroom theory-based learning in which you're reading about vocabulary words and then answering questions about them. We're more practical. Any case, so that's kind of what that kind of looks like. We have a policy debate case which is written. We'll talk about that more in a second, but this is something that everybody has to do. Rubric ratings, no multiple. That's just a straight up regular rubric. Policy debate event, again, it's a similar story as up here. I have a rubric set up that we multiply the ratings I give you by 5, and that adds up to these points. And yada yada. Now here's the argumentation days stuff, and this is where I was talking about how scary attendance can be sometimes, because again, I'm doing this as like an insurance policy for you all. I'm trying to defend you all from maybe the tendency for people not to support their partner. So let's say we have an argumentation day 1, crossfire debate 1. I want there's 15 points I'm collecting that day. 5 points per complete argument uploaded. So we'll have a work day, and at the end of that work day, you need 3 arguments uploaded to our Blackboard. And if you're not here that day, I'm not going to give you the 15 points. But also, we have a separate attendance grade that's 100 points. So every day that you have an unexcused absence, that's an additional 5 points off. So that's just, some people are like, okay, I'll take a 5-point hit today. All right, fine. But there are some days that are more important than others, is what this is doing here. Days where you're working with your partner are incredibly important. So on that day, most days you might lose 5 points, but that day you'll lose 20. And if you mess up and do all these days where you miss them, and I've had students that have done this, you really won't get a very good grade at all. Not just because of this policy, but also because you're not going to know what to argue. So your ultimate debate's going to be pretty of low quality as well. And so your grade's going to go from like I said, most people kind of skip out of here with like a B+ or higher. But if you're not in class, you might be getting that coveted D. So please do not, just come to class. All right, that's what it's all boiling down to here. And what do I round? Of course, only if I believe your behavior and dedication to the class are meritorious. There's that's all I need to say about it. There are such things as quote unquote brownie points. If you are a good student, you do your work when you need to, you volunteer when people need help. Boy, I reward that. So if that's the kind of person you want to be, then definitely do that, and good things will happen. Karma will happen. So academic dishonesty. I have to have this on here. Honestly, there isn't a need to worry about plagiarism that much, because I want you to use quotes. I really do want you to look things up on the internet and copy and paste them into your document that you're assembling for class credit. And I want you to cite it as a quote. And the citation we use in here is just spoken word citation. Very simple. It's way simpler than APA or MLA. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. It takes just seconds to write it, seconds to say it, and you can just copy and paste a whole huge blocks of text onto your cases. There's no reason to try to steal someone's work and claim it as your own when it's just so easy to do it legitimately. Um, the only time I think I would ever use this policy, and I actually haven't had a plagiarism case yet in this course. I have in my Comm 210 class, but not in debate. But in any case, the only way you could activate this policy, I guess, if you literally stole someone else's like debate case or debate work. I'm totally fine with you working with other people. Like I said, it's very difficult for me to activate this policy based on plagiarism. You're supposed to be quoting and copying and pasting things. You're supposed to be not just working with your partner, but you can be working with other people in the class. Heck, you could even be working with other people in my other sections. Just let me know. Generally speaking, this kind of debate is one of those subjects that really your end product is better the more eyes that you have looking at it. So please just don't steal it. Just ask for permission, and you'll be fine. See, course and instructor evaluation at the end of the course. You have the right to interview me. I don't know about that, but you have the right to evaluate me in the course. Senior portfolios, here we go. If you are a communication studies major, please note that assignments from this course are appropriate for inclusion in your senior portfolio. I know they're not calling it a portfolio anymore, but it still is a portfolio. I'm a stubborn man, but in the aggregate pile of work that you need to submit to graduate, this class's work would be very good for that. Similarly, if you're an English educator, please note that the affirmative debate case is an assignment from this class that will be your artifact for decision point 2, and has its own rubric, which was up here. Well, I mean we don't have the rubric here, but that's what this is referring to. That's why there's no multiple here. We use the same rubric as the Teachers College. I know it's not called R grade anymore. Probably call it like TK20, TK20, whatever. You'll need 3 copies. One of this for the instructor, one for the TK20, and one for the Comm Studies Department recording. Honestly, because everything's going to be electronical these days, you just submit one to Blackboard, and I'll take care of the Comm Studies copy, and then you just make sure you have a copy of your final case for your portfolio. Okay, so here's another esoteric policy. A lot of questions occur in this course, and that's really good. Questions are great. They drive the course forward. A lot of this course is going to be, it can really tend towards, here's a vocab word, here's what it means. But unless you ask questions about how you would use it, or maybe what the extent of when is an ad hominem attack appropriate? Well, we can have a debate then, or a little debate, I guess, about whether or not it ever is, but that's one of the kinds of things that we talk about, and there could be great questions related to that, and I want you to ask. I recently, though, in the past few years I've been teaching, we'll have like a great classroom discussion, and then someone will email me a question about that discussion, and I'll be like, "Dang, why didn't you why didn't you say something in class?" Or they might email me something like, well, kind of like this. My partner and I just don't know where to begin. What do I do? And that's just all the information there is in the email. I will probably reply with, let's set up a time with me to discuss and brainstorm topics for you and your partner. We can do it live back and forth. I have Skype as well so that we can talk if there's not a time that's safe to meet on campus, by which I mean, well, I'm only available, 10 p.m. on Fridays. Well, maybe we shouldn't meet on campus then. We should meet Skype or something. But I will interact with you, okay? I want to interact with you and answer your question and get you and your partner started. Similarly, if you email me that great question that you wanted to ask in class but never did, likely I will save it. I'll just write back, you know what, let's ask this in class with other people. Now, a good email example would be, student, does this look like a good introduction? And then includes a full copy and paste of what was just the introductory paragraph. And then I'll give you actual feedback, right? So if I have something specific to work from, I have no problem writing you an email and making it a longer email. But, an email where it's pretty general, like, I just don't know where to get started. I will simply say, hey, let's meet face to face and figure it out then. Please do not interpret that as being rude. Okay, I want to interact with you and answer your questions, but it's a lot easier to meet face to face than it is to have this email chain that goes on for quite a while. Again, we kind of talked about the technology policy interest before, but you are allowed and required to bring technology into this classroom. We'd be researching work and we'd be working with others, so having a Google Doc available to work with your partner. Bring your laptops. If you have one, bring one. If you don't have one, there are ways for you to get one through the library, and I would recommend that you take advantage of that. If you have a special need of any kind, please do let me know. Again, a lot of the accommodations that I typically see as an instructor, like extended time on tests and stuff, probably won't be too relevant because I don't plan on us having any pop quizzes. But if we do, I will accommodate everything that you need. So please let me know what your needs are, and we'll make sure that you get what you absolutely require. And of course, on the bottom here, Writing and Learning Center, they almost always hire, by almost always, I mean they hire someone that's had this class before. So there will be a resource there for you at the Writing and Center. Okay. Well, beans. I look forward to working with you all. That's all we're really going to cover today. I know that there's maybe, if we were in person, there would be another 10 minutes here, and I'd probably start on content. But since we're doing this online, and I want to respect your time, especially because I feel bad at emailing you the day before class starts, I think we're just going to go ahead and leave it here, and we'll go over the schedule and actually start on content on Wednesday when I see you face to face. So I look forward to that, and if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I will see you on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Have a wonderful Monday and good start to the semester.